It's not possible. Things are going great, aren't they? I got my Bitcoin shirt on today, my BTC. I got this from one of my favorite t-shirt makers called Ebbetsfield Flannels. They make a lot of cool stuff, and I like this t-shirt. I had a good time last night with the Montreal gang. I did the Montreal Bitcoin meetup. I was a guest speaker there last night. We had a good time. Probably had about 40 people, maybe. Saxtron, there we go. You must have been there, Saxtron. You must have been there. Bon matin. Thanks for your appearance last night at BTC Montreal. Saxtron 3000. I had a great time. Thanks for your comment this morning. You're first up in the comments. Greetings and salutations, Richard King. Indeed, same to you. Happy Friday, Breakup Gang. Indeed, happy Friday, Jason. Glad you made it. Glad you made it. Indeed, it looks like the YouTubers are coming in. I always get this thing where it says I have one YouTube viewer. I'll have more comments regularly than I have YouTube viewers. Now, it's probably just some tech problem with Rumble, but there you go. Right. Unless Jason, Muslim Bitcoiner, Hoddle T. Washington, Daniel, Richard are all the same person. I don't think they are. Daniel says, love that shirt. Indeed, Daniel. I was thinking of you when I put it on. I was also thinking of you this weekend, Daniel. I did not bump into you at the big bad Brome Fair, but I wonder if you made it. And if you did go on Saturday as planned, that was kind of the weird weather day, but I think it was a good day to go. It wasn't as busy as normal. And but the fair was great this year. The greatest agricultural fair in Quebec. That's my home. That's where I'm from. Dale, good morning. TGIF, indeed, double B. Good morning from YT. What's YT? I don't know what YT is. Oh, YouTube. Oh, okay, yeah, of course, YouTube. Yeah. I thought it was a place. Hey, BCD, good morning, Breakup Gang. Good morning, Crypto Truth. Glad you're here. Enjoy those delicious crickets this morning. I hope they're crunchy on your toast. That would be great. Muslim Bitcoiner, assalamu alaikum. Every morning, need my cure from Gelman amnesia. They got some Gelman stuff out there. Ben says, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Johnny Rico, good morning. Good morning, Johnny. I hope you're doing great. You're here for all the good news about how we're winning big time. Yesterday was a great day for the winners. Not a great day for the losers. We'll talk about it. The losers losing more. The haters hating more. Saw your expos on DeBlasio. His birth name is Warren Wilhelm. Started using mother's name DeBlasio when he entered politics. See Berger? Maybe. We'll talk about him in a minute. I put up it's a special Moscow time bulletin for New Yorkers. We're going to be, we changed the order up a little bit. Let's get started, though. It looks like we got enough people in the room. We're doing great. All right. Let's just acknowledge that we had an incredible sunrise here today. It was gorgeous, just amazing. And you wouldn't believe it. Bitcoin's also running. So we got a sun tech operational. We got a money tech operational. What's left for us to do? We can shut this off and go enjoy our day. But we can also take a bit of time to laugh at the clown world as it crumbles. The crumbling clown world. Crown, it's because I have the crown, I kept trying to find clown and all that. That's our theme, crowning winners in clown world. Sounded a little easier. All right, so the sun is up, right? We're doing great. Bitcoin's running. Let's have a coffee and talk about all the winning. Now, normally in Moscow time, we like to start with the weather, but sometimes there are emergency situations, right? You know how like Amber Alert, right? And there's other things where it's like, hold on, we got to change the order today. So if you're in New York City and you're just there and you're also a parent, well, I'm going to warn you to lock your kids up like instantly. Okay. I'm not kidding. This is not Moscow time. Do not let your kids out today. Okay. Because Bill DeBlasio decided to let us know last night a couple of times that he likes pizza and he's really into pizza. So he's sort of like kind of into pizza at 11 in the morning. And then he gets way more in when he didn't get his pizza at lunch. So he's still asking for pizza a couple hours later. So if I was in New York City yesterday with my kids, I'm sorry, but that's like a wild animal on the loose. So he looks totally not like a pedo. Okay. Like, so I'm not even accusing him of anything. It's just like, what I'm actually saying is he was going to eat so much pizza that it was going to get messy. All right. It was, that's all that happened. Okay. Swear to God. That's what's happening. Okay. So, he, had to let us know he loves pizza. That's it. That's just no comment. No comment other than that. Right. But don't let your kids out today. All right. Alert. Yeah. Alert. Bill DeBlasio insisting on pizza love, and he needs his pizza. He needs it. So that's what we got. I don't know anything else about it. It's just a coincidence. It's just pizza and DeBlasio. He's the guy who loves the French fries in the most disgusting video that exists on the internet, right? When he's telling you that you get, remember that, the one where he's like, you mean I get this burger? There's a fry in this deal? It's literally the worst thing ever. So, my hub always says they'll tell you what they're doing. They sure will. Yeah, that's what's going on here, guys. So DeBlasio loves pizza. Okay, just that's all there is. All right, let's get into our normal weather report. Where is it hot? You should think of the next ones. You know how they do the head exploding meme, or sometimes it's it's the same as the clown meme that we use in Bitcoin. When you start, you're not a clown, and you're putting your makeup, and then you're a clown at the end. It's kind of similar to the one where like your brain is also exploding, and because you're learning so much information, you're like upgrading, right? So I want you to look at the next 3 first stories, because the weather is the most important thing in Moscow time. I want you to think of those 3 in the same way. Okay, so where's it hot today? Where's it hot? It's still hot in Phoenix, Arizona. You wouldn't believe it, guys. Early September, and it's still hot in Phoenix. I don't even know what to do. What's on Bloomberg Green's weather radar today? Heat records in Arizona. Phoenix is set to break the record for 110 Fahrenheit days, right? So, I mean, it's just every day, right? But guys, it's not just Arizona. It's not just Arizona. All right, it's getting hotter in the entire northern hemisphere. It says here this summer was the hottest ever in the northern hemisphere, putting the Earth on track for another record-breaking year, right? So the northern hemisphere this year, right? The northern hemisphere was the hottest ever, because we all know, right? We all know that we have such great heat records and temperature records from the entire continent, right? So we have like a perfect data set from Greenland. We have the data set, you wouldn't believe the data set we have from Siberia. You wouldn't believe it. It's amazing. So the whole northern hemisphere, right? The whole northern hemisphere is just filled with accurate, credible data that goes back, that we compare. It's just comparing apples to apples all day long. We're so good. Humans are so good. Sometimes I run events, right? And it's complicated. There's a lot of people. And I'm like, okay, this team's got to do this thing, and this team's got to do that. And, sometimes you send a team out to do something simple, right? Like, stuff bags for swag, stuff the swag bags, right? So they go and they do it, and like, okay, they can stuff bags, but then you give them a little bit more complicated with coordination, and then suddenly it doesn't get done, right? Because it's like the guy didn't send the email, and there's a reason. Now that never happens when you get orders to go and check the temperature on the world. It's just like people are so reliable and so good at it and so credible. They just go and they do the data, and it's fine. It's fine, right? So we know as a matter of fact, right? As a matter of fact, that the northern hemisphere was the hottest ever. But guess what? It's not over. It's not just Phoenix. It's not just the northern hemisphere, right? We also know, according to Axios, that Earth, the whole thing. We heard about this in July. July was the hottest July ever. Now we're finding out that Earth just had its hottest summer on record. The whole summer on Earth, right? So that's everywhere. They went and they looked forever. They've been gathering so much amazing data over the years from Africa, right? Africa is just pouring out climate data, right? Africa's filled with climate data. I know in India, they got a lot of people there. They got 1 billion people in India. You know how easy it is to get accurate, credible temperature gauges? You have 1 billion people. You say, hey, 10,000 Indian people, Go tell me what the temperature is. And we're going to do that forever. That's what they've been doing. That's what they've been doing forever. It's been thousands of years that people have been keeping the temperature in every corner. Now, don't forget, right? You've also got to check the temperature in the entire atmosphere. It's not enough to just check the surface level temperature, because the air, if you didn't know this, the greenhouse gas emissions are in the air. They're high. So you got to do the whole thing, right? If you're going to be serious, you got, and that's what we've been doing, right? The minute they invented hot air balloons, for example, right? What do you think the hot air balloons are doing? They're checking the temperatures, because they knew it was going to be a big problem. They had to get it. They got the temperatures. They have more temperatures. It's going great. So now this is completely, like, I see data, right? It's so the whole world since 1979, global surface air temperature anomalies, right? They're worse. So that's what's going on. Our credible scientific community that has an accurate data set that's so good that who could ever argue with this data? Who could ever argue? And we get the data, and then now we know for a fact Earth was warmer than ever this year. It's amazing. It's amazing. Good for them. Now, it's causing problems, right? Climate change is already forcing millions of people to migrate, and it will only get worse, right? So if you're out there with your lights on right now, right, understand if you're in a cold place and you got a fire going, right, understand you're basically inviting people into your country, okay? Because other places that are hot, they can't survive. Look at the water she's trying to drink, right? She can't drink that. And guess what? It gets worse. Where is she going to go, right? You got to think about where she's going to go. Because if you're one of these like British people and you're doing this kind of stuff, look what's going on. Look at what's going on in Britain. While she's drinking this water, you've got Britain sitting next to their toasty little fires. But you didn't know that the deadly impact of burning wood and other solids in London is a real thing. So we're saying to this lady, you can't live there with the heat and this water because it's dirty, right? But where's she gonna go? Where can she go? We have people have fireplaces. You know what we do in Montreal? Good thing they banned it. You know what we were doing in Montreal? Thankfully, it's gone. We were actually running open air fires like this to cook our bagels. We were actually baking breads in that kind of heat and emission causing events. So every bagel shop in my home city that have been traditionally there for years, and we were so proud of them, we didn't know that we were ruining our own air. And I'm so glad I can't eat the most delicious things that ever came out of Montreal anymore. Well, some of them still do it and defy the ban on open fires in the city because of the emissions, right? Because I'm just proud, though, that my city here in Montreal, we banned the bagels, and they're not like New York bagels. We used to cook them right in the bakery, like I said, with this open fire, wood fire cooked bagels. And we would put people would come and take pictures. It's so cute, they said, right? It was like, look at those cute people eating delicious food. Oh my gosh. And then we find out that we were actually burning the planet. We were burning the planet, like Axio says, the deadly impact. It was a deadly impact in my city. Now, luckily, we don't have the bagels, but she can move now to my city. She doesn't have to worry about the fireplaces, okay? So if you don't know that the point is to not have your fireplaces and all that stuff, because where else is she going to go? Okay, don't be a heartless fucker. She needs a place to go, and it can't be near your fireplace. Okay, it just can't be. Barbecuing has always been a sin, Muslim Bitcoiner. Come on. Always been a sin, right? We know that. Fire equals death, right? And that's why I'm not sure I brought this story into the mix today, but there is a story out there, right? And this is I agree 100%, right? I think it's the most important thing. I forgot to put this one in, but I'll show you here. This is, for her, right? Imagine you're in a place, it's so hot, and then you're supposed to come to a place that's trying to stay cool, but they got a fireplace, right? But there's some good news, at least in California. She has hope, right? Undocumented individuals deserve a chance at homeownership, right? And so they really do, right? I mean, they were getting away, like, I don't want to be around that stuff, that kind of water. So it makes total sense. It's perfect. So I'm glad they're coming, and it's awesome. And I pledge to never have a fire so that I don't ruin the air and create the deadly impact. And we at least have some corners on the earth to still live. It's really important to me. Now, you think all this stuff with the fires and all that stuff, right? The fires and what are we going to do? It actually gets worse, guys. It's actually worse than this. You wouldn't believe it, right? The world is burning an alarming amount of plastic, scientists say, right? So not only are they burning the wood for the bagels sinfully, right? We're also burning a lot of plastic. Now, I do a thing here on Moscow Time where I also talk about how Kamala Harris is so, fairly treated by the media, and how great everything about the way the media treats her and how fairly it all is, right? I hear them say things about Trump. We'll talk about that. And JD Vance, he's so weird. So I hear that all the time, right? But look, I'm telling you right now, they're not giving Kamala a free ride, all right? Because you see this problem here. The world is burning all this plastic, right? Well, look, Kamala is eating shit today, all right? The media is pounding on her. You wouldn't believe what they're doing to her, right? I said they never criticized her. Wait until you see this, guys. Now you're going to believe it's a fair system, right? They got Trump on capital punishment charges, all right? Wait until you see how hard they're finally going after Kamala Harris. And then you'll say, what a credible system we have. They're not giving her a free ride. You know this is a major problem, the plastic burning. Look at what she was cackling about. Look at this. You're not going to believe it. Everyone's talking about it today. Kamala Harris, guys, has abandoned her pledge. She pledged to ban plastic straws. She pledged, and it's over. She broke her promise on the plastic straws. Everybody on the internet's talking about it. What a phony. What a hypocrite, right? Who could contain such a crazy amount? This is a bombshell. This is an October surprise. This is the greatest takedown I've seen in politics. People say they've been astroturfing her campaign. How can you say that with this as a fact now, as part of the discourse? This is now part of the discourse. We now know that she's breaking her pledge on straws, right? Even Brian Stelter, good thing he's back, right? Good thing Stelter's back. He learned a lot in his 2 years doing nothing else, right? So he's a new man, as he said on the internet yesterday. He's a new man, right? And he's even talking about it. Even Brian Stelter, first day on the job, he's on the plastic straw thing. Don't you ever say out there that it's only a one-way street and that the media's in the bag, right? No. They're giving her a hard time. Straws. Everyone's thinking about the straws, right? And she said she was going to, ban them so that they wouldn't be burning them anymore. So she's basically like she must have learned, frankly, she's from Montreal. She must have learned. I bet you she's for fires and the bagels. I bet you we're going to find that out. I bet you we're going to find out Kamala Harris was into the open fire wood cooked bagels in Montreal when she was growing up here. Imagine that, right? It could be. So Brian says, when Vice President Kamala Harris ran for president in 2020, right, she said plastic straws should be banned. On Thursday, her campaign said that's no longer her position, right? A campaign official told Axios she doesn't support banning plastic straws. You heard it from Brian Stelter. You heard it from him. The straws, they're not going to work, right? They're not going to work. There you go. That's not going to happen, right? So there you go. Kamala not getting an easy ride, right? Now, look, and I also say Tim Walz, right? Tim Walz, they said he's getting AstroTurf too. That's what some people have been saying. He's getting AstroTurf. He's getting all kinds of nice articles about him, right? Well, yesterday, we found out that the whole Walz family, or 2 days ago, we found out the Walz family, they took a big picture. Trump shared it. Everyone said it. It was the Walzes for Trump, right? The Walzes for Trump, right? How misleading, right? MSNBC corrects the record. They've corrected the record despite the family drama, okay? His mom still backs him. His mom, if your own mom backs you, how bad can you be? Right? His mom. I'm glad they put this in the news. I'm glad the news found it necessary, and they did. It was necessary to go out of their way to show who in the family still supports them. Because after I saw that picture, I was like, whoa, that's kind of weird. Why wouldn't your family support you if you're running for president or vice president, right? But luckily, we know, and it's perfect. MSNBC, right? They're running these articles, right? His mom thinks he's great. His mom loves him, of course. There's no family drama. His mom is on his side. It's fine, right? Let's look at what's going on with J.D. Vance now. What's happening with him, right? So for decades, conservatives like Vance, right, have criticized welfare programs under the guise of defending the nuclear family. What a fucking phony, right? The troubling history behind J.D. Vance's style of rhetoric, right? The style of his rhetoric, right? His discourse, right? All that kind of stuff, right? We see what it is. We see through it, right? We're not naive. And that's one thing, right? And then, what's going on with Trump? Look at this. Jack Smith, right? This is the I think it's the boxes hoax that Jack Smith is trying to relitigate, right? But MSNBC letting us know he's just trying to streamline. It's just streamlining, right? He's got some courts and he's got some capital punishment charges against a presidential candidate. And it's like, you got to streamline, right? I mean, obviously you got to streamline. Like, you don't want to not streamline when you're trying to, accuse someone of treason, right? You got to streamline. I mean, streamline, right? And then the pesky little Supreme Court got in his way. That didn't let him streamline. That was like a detour. That's the opposite of streamline. Supreme Court was like, this is ridiculous. You can't do it. And Jack Smith's like, what? That's not streamlining. I got to streamline. And I'm supposed to be streamlining here. And so we got a chance to streamline, right? We got a chance to streamline some stuff in the legal system. Let's streamline it, right? Of course, streamline. He's just streamlining. It's fine, right? So it's just election interference streamlining. It's fine, right? It's totally great. It's great, right? It's fine. And now Elon Musk has some trouble too. You wouldn't believe this guy. Wait till you see what's happening with this loser. Wait till you see what a loser he is. Some people are like, oh, he's landing rockets and he's launching uncensorable satellites on his own rockets with his own internet system. And he's launched them for direct to internet phone access. So the internet can never be shut off for Americans in America. And, everyone's like, wow, but wait till you see what a loser he is, guys. Wait until you see this, right? CBS News letting us know that Elon Musk's X at risk of advertiser exodus as trust dwindles, survey says, right? The survey, right? It surveyed all kinds of, who they surveyed for this? Marketers, right? Marketers, everyone knows. If you guys work in a company, everyone knows you put your quality people, the number one people go into marketing. Everybody knows that. That's where all the go-getters go. That's where the smart people go, right? So you put them in marketing and then they're in marketing and they're like, hey, buy my stuff, buy this thing, right? So the marketers should be going on X. But you should see, right? They looked at them and they said, the marketers for the big companies, right? They're like, oh, we're not going, it's down like 10%. So stupid. We saw the financials the other day. Stupid Elon Musk. He spent $40 billion on Twitter and he's barely even getting any money back. He's losing money. Apparently Twitter is worth like 10 billion. And that's what they're saying over here in the Atlantic, right? The lights go down on Stan Twitter, of course, right? Elon Musk's latest legal skirmish got X banned in Brazil. What an idiot, right? What an idiot. Displacing many of the site's culture makers. Of course, no one's even using it anymore. No one's even there. The advertisers are gone, right? What a complete and total loser, right? I can't believe anyone ever followed this guy. What a joke. What a complete joke, right? Come on. He's losing money. I mean, look at her, right? You should see the guy. I forgot the guy's name. I wish I had it here. Let me just see the guy's name. You wouldn't believe this guy, right? The guy who did the survey. You got to see who he is, right? His name it's for Kantar, right? Yeah, maybe you never heard about them, but they're doing important work, right? The Kantar, they're from London, where they know not to even make fires, right? Because they know about the deadly impact of fires. So the people in London, right, they know. I mean, they're just plugged in, right? They're just plugged in. So this guy's name, let me find his name, right? His name is Gonka Bubani. Gonka Bubani did this study. Gonka, right? And you know what his title is? So Elon, guess what? Gonka Bubani, the Global Thought Leadership Director at Kantar. He did this study, and he's like, Elon, right? Like, the lights are down, man. No one even wants to give you money anymore. You're a loser. You lost money. So Gonka Bubani, right? Gonka, right? This is what he said. Advertisers have been moving their marketing spend away from X for several years, he says. The stark acceleration of this trend in the last 12 months means a turnaround currently seems unlikely. Gonka says a turnaround for Elon is unlikely. It's unlikely. He's not going to turn it around, guys. He's not going to turn it around, right? He's not. He's just going to keep losing, right? Gonka Bubani, the Global Thought Leadership Director, right? Global Thought Leadership Director. What a great title. What a great name. What a great name. I mean, this person is destined to change the world, right? I mean, I don't think this is the last time I'm ever going to hear from Gonka Bubani, the Global Thought Leadership Director at Kantar, right? I mean, it's the exact person you want to just come onto the main stage of the world and just take down that stupid loser Elon Musk, right? He's just a rocket scientist, right? What's he even doing with his time? Losing money, right? Come on. So Gonka Bubani, the Global Thought Leadership expert at the survey company, right? Yeah, let's do a GoFundMe. Yeah, Crypto Truth, I think you're right. Yeah, well, do you want to help a guy like that? I mean, really? Do you want to help a guy like that? I mean, he's out there losing money. He's a loser. Right? All right. Speaking of losers, these are totally not losers. All right. Thank God. I told you yesterday that the New York Times was starting to do, because I can't stay up late, right? So thank God the New York Times is starting to do sort of resumes of what all, and then they're all at the same time, the late night comedians in America. If you're not from America, you don't know that every night we are blessed with Stephen Colbert, Seth Meyers, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, right? These people get to go every night, and you can't watch them all because they're on different channels at the same time. And so what you need is exactly what the New York Times is providing, right? Exactly what the New York Times is providing. Look what they got, right? Look at what's going on. These are not losers. These are the great people, right? Rolling Stone covered it last night, and they had, look at Rolling. They're always so cool and trendy, right? They have never stopped being like hip and cool with the kids and with the, this is the new sex symbol. Remember, Doug Mhof is the new sex symbol. We've heard, everyone's been talking about it, right? Doug Mhof made his first appearance as a guest on Jimmy Kimmel Live last night and took the opportunity to respond to Donald Trump's many attacks on his wife, Kamala, that jerk, So here's the New York Times resume of all this stuff, because there's everyone's covering it, right? So I'm not a comedian. I can't actually replicate the incredible comedic timing of these super talented people. Seth Meyers, like, he's so funny. And it's just great. I'm going to try and share the jokes with you, because I don't know if you could stay up too late and all that stuff, right? So here's the first joke, right? Seth Meyers, right? This is what he does, right? So the first one here is, let me get the right, I don't want to read it backwards, right? So the first one he has, I didn't copy this correctly, but it's right here. The joke is right here. I'll read it because it's again, I can't get the timing exact, right? But it's great. He goes, first of all, the opposite of weird isn't solid. It's normal, Seth Meyers said on Thursday, right? Republicans can't beat the weird charges, so now they're trying to turn them back around on Democrats. But in doing so, they're only making things worse, he says, right? So then he goes on to say that, where's the line? I don't even know. Where did it go? There was some, oh yeah, here it is. I love how unprompted he immediately just throws Vance under the bus, right? Mr. President, how would you solve inflation? Imitating Trump. Well, everyone's saying JD is a very weird man, He's obsessed with childless women, and he can't even order donuts without creeping everybody out. But I don't think he's weird, right? So that's what Seth Meyers is saying, right? And then we've got Jimmy Kimmel last night. He says he hates this so much that he can't stop bringing it up. And now when it comes to Tim Walz's defense, says, I'm not weird. You're weird. right? And then Jimmy Kimmel goes, right. I'm just a regular guy who lives in a gold house and has an orange face. I mean, who could stop? I mean, I've never heard Orange Man jokes about him. That's brand new. That's cutting edge, right? And then they got this section called the punchiest punchlines, right? The punchiest punchlines, Duncan edition. These are the punchiest punchlines from last night's late night comedy. I had such secondhand embarrassment watching it that I had to peer through my hands like it was a Saw movie, Seth Meyers said, right? So he had to do like this. How funny is that? Like, imagine you were watching the show last night and Seth was like, I had to do like a horror movie. Zing, right? And then he says, that dude orders donuts like a kidnapper is watching him from the car, right? Yeah, it's so good. So good. And then Stephen Colbert. Let's not forget about Stephen Colbert. He says, how long have I been in the donut shop? Forever? Okay, good. That was the joke. It's great, right? It was great. And then he says, let me ask you a question. Is JD Vance a donut? Because Waltz is dunking him. He did a Dunkin' Donuts. Oh, shit, Stephen Colbert. You're the best. I don't understand how you're not the only person on TV. I mean, TV should just be Stephen Colbert talking, right? I mean, with gold like that, Dunkin' Donuts joke, Walls is dunking on the donuts. Shit, man. That's going to win the whole thing for you. You guys got it. All right. I got one more thing here. This is pretty great. Because it's like yesterday when I told you, the analysts over at Goldman Sachs, right? The Goldman Sachs guys. What I imagine happened at Goldman Sachs, because they did a study on what would be best for Americans' political choices for the economy and all that stuff, right? They did this yesterday. So Goldman Sachs, right? I can just imagine how it went in the C-suite with all the executives. They went, we made enough money this year, right? Let's put our top quality analysts on the job of figuring out what's best for you Americans, like what's best, right? So you could just imagine that that's like a totally normal thing. They would just be like, how can I help, right? Goldman Sachs is like, how can I help? What can I do as a Goldman Sachs? What can I do, right? And they came out and they figured it out. They're like, Kamala winning and winning everything in the Senate and the Congress and a complete sweep is obviously the best thing for the economy. So boom, they just gave you the alpha, right? Goldman Sachs gave you the alpha yesterday. Well, I go on about elections all the time, right? Time Magazine did the exact same thing as Goldman did, right? They went, they got all this early voting stuff, right? What's going on with early voting in America, right? It's such an important subject, right? Because, thankfully, even though there's so much broken in America, thankfully, our elections aren't, right? All 50 states got it right? That's just so lucky. Because if they didn't, we'd be in big trouble, right? So I'm thankful that Time Magazine is really focusing on this stuff. It's just like Goldman. They're doing it's for you. It's for you. It's for the people, right? They're doing it for the people. So Time, right? So I'm going to go over everything, all the election advice they have. Like what is it about early voting, right? What is it, right? It would be like, it would be like in Bitcoin, right? If we wanted to say, why don't we have a little like, some transactions that just don't really take the 10 minutes, right? Let's just do some, what would it be like? What about all these unconfirmed transactions on other chains, right? What about those, right? They're all fine. They're fine, right? We're going to find out. It's the same thing. They're breaking down the election integrity questions here for you. So what do they say, right? All your questions about early voting answered. So I believe if I would go in this article, I'm going to find about, different attacks, different exploits, how you could game it, like how do they prevent it from being gamed, right? That's like what you would expect, right? Let's see what they got, because I don't even know what the concerns are. What do they have, right? First of all, what are the benefits? We got to talk about why would you have early voting? What are the benefits, right? Make it easier, accessible. You got to make it easier, right? You got to make it easier, of course. Why not make it easier, right? Just make it easier, right? No problem. And then what else do we got, right? We got, when can I start early voting? Well, I have every place, every state. When, right? What are the benefits, right? First of all, when can I do it? When does it start and where, right? We got more. Why did early voting start? You didn't know this. It was because of the war. Soldiers, those honorable, amazing, just amazing people in the Civil War were concerned they couldn't vote, right? So it was the war, and then we learned how to do mail voting, right? So we did it, right? And now why would we stop, right? And they go on, should I vote early or absentee? Like, because you can vote early and you can vote absentee. There's different ways to do it, right? So they get into that too. This is all great stuff, right? And then what else do they? Oh, that's it. Oh, so you mean to say that all of my questions about early voting only include what are the benefits, when can I do it, and how should I do it? Well, I guess that just means there's no problems with early voting. It must be what it means. It must be that. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, why would they have to say anything else? It's fine, right? It's just fine. Well, what do you need to know? All your questions were answered. Those were all my questions, right? I don't have any other questions because I know that all 50 elections in all 50 states were 100% credible in 2020. Those were all my questions. I'm cool here. I'm good. Let's just, we're good. We're good. Thank you. So that's our Moscow time for today, right? Don't forget, there's no questions about our elections. They're totally credible and amazing, right? All right. So everyone, of course, saw the Tenant Media thing yesterday. Now you can start to see the point of it, right? The point of it becomes pretty obvious, right? So what are all these articles that we've seen today? Here you've got Turning Point USA was fired. You've got the Atlantic saying the Justice Department claims that in an effort to sow conflict in the U.S., Russia funneled millions of dollars to a U.S. company that paid right-wing media influencers, but the indictment is likely only the tip of the iceberg, obviously. The article is called The Russian Propaganda Attack on America. Axios says MAGA media ruptures as Tucker Carlson and New Russia scandal. And then this is obviously the money shot here. Former Trump campaign advisor charged over work for Russian state media. So what we're seeing here is an obvious attack on narrative builders. So this is all about the podcast advantage that Republicans, and I wouldn't even call them Republicans anymore, the non-Democrat, non-cathedral based worldview people were looking at. So this idea that all of these folks were getting so much traction and that the edifice of the fake news was cracking and crumbling, what we cover here every single day, I think obviously is known by these people. And so this looks to be like one of the operations to blunt that. There's more. It's not just that, right? We've seen the Tenant Media is one, right? What you get from the Tenant Media, there is another piece to it where Michael Caputo says, heads up, there's a 100% chance FBI, DOJ used Lauren Chen to one-hop every single person she's ever talked to in the conservative media / movement, with FISA dumps too. So this is exactly the same as the original Russia collusion scandal. So what you're actually seeing here, okay, is the beginning of the effort in case Trump wins. Like last time, they opened the FISA stuff now. So they started to get all this data and they used it to fuel the Russia collusion hoax in Trump's first term. So it looks like this is a repeat of that system, sort of a backup, but you're able to do a little persuasion with this too. So I'm sure some of this stuff will come up earlier. So this is very similar to what happened with the folks who worked on the Trump campaign that got the attention of the British and all these folks. So we've seen this whole play before. It's exactly the same as the original Russia collusion scandal. And this was the point. The point was to attach Trump and Russia financing, but now it looks like they'll have all of the spy permissions to go in. Now, you should always have assumed that. We should have always assumed this stuff was coming. So I'm not sure if I have any communications with any of these people over the last little while. I might, because I invite a lot of people to my shows, even if they respond or not. I'm sort of emailing these types all the time. So I wonder if I'm caught up in it. I don't really care. But nevertheless, you just assume you are, right? I never got banned from YouTube, though, right? Fuck, look like a loser, not getting banned like all the cool people. But here's what's going on. This is a big part of it, right? We've also got the Brazil story, and I think Mike Benz has the greatest observation about it. This is all you really need to know about what's going on with Elon and Starlink and Twitter down in Brazil, Mike Benz says here, it is not an accident that the U.S. State Department, USAID, and NED poured millions into developing Brazil's censorship ecosystem. Biden pledged to work together with Lula on stamping out disinformation, which means states' censorship work in Brazil likely had White House NSC approval, which is the reason why Mike Benz brings this up every day. The reason why you haven't heard any complaints from American authorities yet is because they're in on it. You haven't heard one complaint. Imagine a great American company, Starlink, had its assets frozen for a company it's not even related to, X. And they've banned all of that stuff. They banned the Starlink and all this stuff. So, and America has literally said nothing, right? So I think Mike Benz understood the architecture of deceit. We're seeing the architecture of deceit. We're seeing how it works and functions, and his ability here to shine a light on the money flows and how to follow the money when it comes to censorship is indispensable. And it helps us understand that we're not in an election fight per se. We're in a narrative spin fight. We're in a projection of reality fight. And it's a big difference, right? Because no one's going to believe the election. The only answer going forward that I can see is the team that is able to project the strongest vision of the future will attract more adherents to believing that's reality. And so that's why we're headed to this bimetallic period where we have fiat money, we have food stamps, we have more or less direct effect on policy money, right? That's how I think of fiat going forward, as policy money, basically food stamps. You can get this, you can get that, things to stay alive. And then you've got a whole other world of Bitcoin and innovation. And I don't mean necessarily crypto innovation. I mean the innovation that happens when you can take away the cognitive burden of saving money and being a financial manager. If every company was able to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet and not have to turn itself into some weird hedge fund just to stay alive, then they would be better at whatever it is they do. Take Boeing, for example, right? Boeing can't keep going on sludge money because that's what's created this whole trouble in the first place. That's why it's become a type of hedge fund and not an engineering company. Elon, of course, comes from the engineering world and is showing the difference with his companies that do keep Bitcoin on the balance sheet, that you got to focus on the actual product. So I think, or the service or whatever it is. So I think it's very obvious that the contrast in human capital between the sludge people and the people who are optimistic about the future will line up more or less exactly with the Bitcoiners versus the sludge fiat people. So Bitcoiners are a big part of the projection around winning this, and it's exactly as Mike Benz goes on here with the proof in his mind anyway that they're not doing anything. At the same time, you don't even need to follow his analysis. Kamala told us exactly what she was planning on doing yesterday. She just said it straight out, right? She is going to direct the DOJ to censor misinformation and hate online, right? So we can see the entire battlefield now, and everything is obvious. Now, the way we win this is not necessarily by elections. It's understanding election integrity, but it doesn't mean we just have to get out more and more people to vote. I don't believe we're going to be able to choose a leader on the election day. I think unless it's a huge Trump landslide, there is a potential where everyone moves into spin and narrative building and all of that. And the advantage Trump has this time around with things like what happened last night in Anaheim, California. Tucker Carlson did a show. He's got Vivek, and then they bring out the surprise guest RFK, right? And the crowd goes nuts. So RFK, Vivek, Tucker, all of these people are indispensable for Trump and us Bitcoiners when it comes to fighting against the fiat narrative projections. And it's how we're going to win, having better storytellers, having people who are more capable of connecting in a peer-to-peer manner with normal Americans. It doesn't even mean in person. It means speaking directly to them without the third-party filter that the media is. In the same way that banks have been third parties filtering our ability to have commercial transactions and relationships that are fruitful because of the fraud and the corruption and their incentives that they're motivated by. So in the same way that Bitcoin understood we have to remove pieces of a broken architecture when it comes to money, we obviously understand that it's the same way in media. And that's why having the actual Justice League style, Avengers style team up of narrative builders is so important, right? Which is why even what happened yesterday, and this is the crown, where I got the crowning winners in the clown world story. Conor McGregor yesterday announced his run for president, and you can add him to the team. Conor McGregor, I don't know how he's going to do. I mean, the whole thing's crazy. But indeed, the way I've always thought of Conor McGregor, someone said this when it first happened, when we first started hinting at this, I don't know, a year ago, that Conor McGregor basically found the Irish crown in a gutter. Free money, the Trump move, right? This is sitting there. And he picked it up and tried it on, and he can be king of Ireland if he does it right. And he did everything perfect here. He led a statement saying, as president, I hold the power to summon the dial as well as dissolve it. So as I said before, I would have all the answers the people of Ireland seek from these thieves of the working man, these disruptors of the family unit, these destructors of small business, and on and on and on. These charlatans in their position of power would be summoned to answer to the people of Ireland, and I would have it done by day end, or I would be left with no choice but to dissolve the dial entirely like a king. Like a king. Stop the train until, he says, the people of Ireland deserve the answers they seek, point blank. This would be my power as president. I know very well Ireland needs an active president employed wholly by the people of Ireland. It's me. I am the only logical choice. 2025 is upcoming. Win, lose, or draw. He's a person that is going to help push the narrative forward. You saw what the Tate brothers did. And I don't support any of their stuff. But again, we're in a narrative battle. And having more people spinning a narrative that makes more sense to Bitcoiners means our capacity to make Bitcoin here on Earth the actual standard money is greatly increased by this, right? And Trump even said it yesterday, right? Trump came around yesterday and was speaking at the New York, what's it called again? The New York Economic Club, and reiterated that he's going to make America the capital of crypto and Bitcoin. He still understands the energy thing. So again, it all comes down to narrative push. And I picked this one out today because I thought it was hilarious, right? It's just one of those things that gives you perspective. George Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris have held power 28 out of the last 32 years. Yet all 5 of them are blaming Trump. And even better, they claim to have all the answers to fix America's problems. You can't make this stuff up. So that's really what we're up against. That's it, right? If Bitcoiners can't win this fight, then we're fucked anyway, right? But with the help we have, doesn't matter the censorship. It's not going to stop. It's not going to be enough to stop Trump and Elon and RFK and Pavel Durov and Chris Pavelski and all the people. Michael Saylor. You think Michael Saylor is going to give up? No, we're psycho. We're not giving up anyway. Like, there's no giving up. We're going to go until we destroy this thing. We break it. And we're not going to stop. We're going to myth make after this. We're going to be the narrative spinners. We're going to actually win by projecting a much more optimistic vision of the future, a much better future. And it won't take an election to get there, right? The election, as I said, I think it's going to be so fraught with confusion that it's the days after that matter. It's the ability to summon a force of momentum. It's a bit like sports, right? If you have the narrative and the momentum on your side, you're going to win. And that's what we're going to get with all the people that we have. Our old sexpot Doug Emhoff ain't going to be strong enough, nor is Stephen Colbert. These are weak losers. And we've got a powerful team. And Bitcoin itself is continuing to add more people to the gang. And I don't think there's any way to stop it now. It's freedom or death at this point, right? And so we got it. All right, team. I got to go a little early. Let me see some comments here because I got to get out of here. Open mic party. Mike Benz has the backstory, breakdown, real talk. He's the best. Yeah. 2020 on steroids. Coming at America. Yeah, no kidding. Sorry to say, time for me to suit up and wade into the sludge. Have a great weekend, Breakup Gang. Nolan, you're an inspiration. Thanks, Crypto Truth. Oh, I made a mistake and started naming my crickets. The Catacombs, caught it live. Morning, Bitcoiners. Morning, Catacombs. Love it. Muslim, oh, no, he didn't. I knew Joe Imhoff in college. His nickname was Joe Imhoff. Think about this every time I hear his dude's name. Yeah. Yeah, what was manic depressing comedians' political advice? Yeah, no kidding. Gonka should go on Hawktua. Gonka. What was his name again? Gonka. Gonka. So cool. Warren finally in a survey. Streamline treason. Yeah, it's just streamlining. It's streamlining. It's okay. Just some streamlining. A little bit of streamlining, right? Very Carey. Why would anyone in Canada want to burn wood with climate change in effect? How dare you want a decent, traditional, fire-baked Montreal bagel? I know I'm a fucking crazy global warming denier. I eat the bagels. There are still places. There's a bit of scofflawing going on. So I don't want to make it sound like you can't get a real bagel cooked in fire in Montreal. The law exists. I don't understand how it's being applied because I see people scofflawing it all the time, right? Scofflaw is my favorite word, by the way. Scofflaw, to scoff law, right? I told everyone during COVID, that was like my first talking point at the beginning of COVID. It's like, I'm going to be a scofflaw. I'm just going to scofflaw. I'm just not going to follow any. I'm going to play dumb everywhere I go. What do you mean mask? What? What are you talking about? Oh, I don't have a mask. Can I just go? Can I do that? That was how we did it, right? Scofflaw. All of it was scofflaw. All right, team. Peace. Have a great weekend. I shall see you all on Monday morning. Should be a nice one. Enjoy it. End of summer coming in. End of heat. What are we going to do?